Hello. Hey. Hello, how you doing? All right, so we're going to talk about, can I say it? Can I say it just yet? Because you know that the algorithms, they look out for certain things when you first start off. So go ahead and join on in here. Do me a favor, hit the share button while you're at it. Please do me a favor and also like, follow, subscribe. And if you haven't on YouTube yet, smash that like button, and on Facebook, smash the love button. And if you're watching on Rumble, live on Rumble right now, and Getter, please do me a favor, share this. Okay. All right. Can we get into it now? Well, I really want to talk about this. I actually talked about this story on my Lindell TV 2 broadcast, but I think it's worth talking about it again. And I'm talking about what Joe Brandon just called half of America. And I would probably say, it's literally half of America, maybe even a little bit more than half of America. And some of y'all know exactly where I'm getting ready to go with this. And some of y'all like, what did he say? What did he say? Well, for those of you that don't know, Joe Brandon called half of America semi-fascist. They literally called us semi-fascist. And it made me think about, when I first heard him say this, it made me think about what Hillary Rodham Clinton said about the basket of deplorables. Y'all remember that? It's kind of like the same thing to me. But what's interesting is that the left, they see us that way, right? They actually do the fascism themselves, but then they turn around and point the finger at us, calling us the fascists, right? And they call us fascists. Let me just give you a few reasons why the left is calling us fascists. Okay. One of the reasons is that we believe in the sanctity of life. That they call us fascists. We believe that the unborn child should have the opportunity the rest of us had, right? We believe that. So as a result, they call us fascists. We believe that you should not sexualize children. Because of this, they call us fascists. We believe that children should not go to these bars, these nightclubs, these strip clubs for dragging queens to dance in front of them, show the junk to the kids, and have kids put dollars down their underwear. That, when we don't want that, they call us fascists. We believe what the science says, that a man cannot get pregnant. As a result, they call us the fascists. You understand what I'm saying? All of this stuff, all this wokeness that we don't go along with is the reason why they call us fascists. Now, what's kind of interesting to me is that the fake fact checkers haven't come out yet and try to say, well, this is not actually true. Biden didn't call half of America semi-fascist. They probably come out and say, well, he only called the mega Republicans semi-fascist. Or they'll probably say it's partially true or partially false or misleading, missing context, right? They'll find some kind of way to jump on Biden's side to help Biden to try to prevent people from knowing what he's been knowing, what he's been doing, right? They'll do as much as possible. But you know what? They really can't say that he didn't say it, because even the liberal media is even calling Biden out for what he said. Now, they're not actually calling him out for it, but all they're doing is just acknowledging that he actually called half of America fascists.
With just over 2 months to go before the midterm elections, President Biden had a new attack on Republicans during a fundraiser last night. The president said, quote, "What we're seeing now is the beginning or the death knell of an extreme MAGA philosophy. It's not just Trump. It's the entire philosophy that underpins the," I'm going to say something, "it's like semi-fascism." That's
a quote, right? That's what he said it. The liberal media outlets. This is on MSDNC, where they're actually saying this, calling you a fascist. Oh, I forgot to add one. Remember, You're the fascist if you want to go to a school board meeting and you don't want them pushing CRT onto your child. You're the fascist if you go to a school board meeting and you don't want them sexualizing your children. You're the fascist. That's the reason why the FBI wants to look at you as a domestic terrorist, because you're fascist. And the reason why I'm talking about this, and the reason why it's so important that we do talk about this, because I don't know if y'all ever noticed this, but when they start labeling a certain group, like there's certain groups out there right now that were militia groups, that are militia groups. And I encourage all of y'all to look in the U.S. Constitution what it says about the militia. Where there's these militia groups that the Biden administration and the Democrats have successfully demonized and labeling them as domestic terrorists. You understand what I'm telling you? Regardless of what the U.S. Constitution, this is their way of combating it. And I've said it multiple times. So instead of them adhering to the U.S. Constitution and realize what they're doing is constitutional, they'll just call them domestic terrorists. So then that way we can stop this militia. People, they're playing a game and we're playing a different game. We're playing the game of doing the right thing, and they're not. They're not. They're going to do the wrong thing every single bit of the way. So listen to this one on the Communist News Network where they were asked a question. And so again, the fake fact checkers can't come out and say that Biden did not call half the country fascist. Right? They can't say it, but they're going to try to twist it some kind of way. But listen, he's asked a question about Biden calling us calling us fascists. Listen to this.
What do you think about the president calling millions of Americans semi-fascist?
The response should be, he should not be in that position calling half of America fascist. He should not be in that. If he's supposed to be uniting the people, that's what he should be doing. Doing this is not uniting. So what do you think he's going to say?
Listen, he's got to express and be honest about what he feels in his heart and his soul. And I think that's probably exactly what he did.
He expressed what is in his heart and his soul. You hear that? And he believes that's exactly what he did, calling all of us fascists. It's not like he didn't understand the question. Calling half the country fascist. I mean, so my question is how many of you are okay with this? And the reason why, again, let me bring it up one more time. The reason why I'm saying this is because when they start labeling a group of people, they go to the extreme. And I have to remind you, that's what they did to parents going to the school board meetings. They labeled parents, United States American parents, as domestic terrorists and want the FBI to come after you. I'm trying not to get worked up here, but that just really ticks me off to no end. The FBI has been weaponized against the American people, and we see what they're doing. But now they're causing this trend. Anyone who's a MAGA Republican, anyone who wants to support the freedom of this nation, you are a fascist. That's what they're saying. They're not even hiding it. Now, this is a beauty here. This is a beauty here. If you haven't already, please share this video because everybody needs to see this one here. She's going to ask him the question about Joe Brandon calling us a fascist, semi-fascist. And the way she phrases the question, she's going to phrase the question like, well, we all know that MAGA Republicans are fascists. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not doing like Adam Schiff, doing a parody. I'm paraphrasing here. And you'll notice, you'll hear it in her voice in the way she presents the question. And then she's going to persist on making sure that people like getting to the point like, hey, the Republican Party or the MAGA Republicans are fascists. Listen to what she says.
I want to ask about something that President Biden said during remarks at a closed DNC reception this past week. He criticized what he called a, quote, extreme MAGA philosophy in your party. He said, quote, it's almost like semi-fascism.
You hear this?
Do you see semi-fascism in your party at all?
You hear that? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop it. Let me go back. Listen what she says right here at the end before he starts chiming in about seeing fascism. Listen.
Do you see semi-fascism in your party at all?
Like, hey, do you see it at all? Because we see it. Do you see it? And again, she's calling us fascists because we believe in the sanctity of life. Where's the fascism at? Everything that they're doing, all of the tyranny that they're implementing, hurting small businesses, sexualizing children, indoctrinating children, what they're doing, that is the clear definition of fascism. Implementing and pushing their agenda onto all of us, that is fascism. But she plays it off like the Republican Party, the MAGA Republican Party, are the fascist ones. Now listen to his response.
Horribly insulting. I mean, the fact that the president would go out and just insult half of America, because effectively half America has votes Republican, half of America ultimately votes Democrat. You know, it swings a little bit one way or the other. But effectively call half of America semi-fascist because he's trying to stir up controversy. He's trying to stir up this anti-Republican sentiment right before the election. It's horribly inappropriate. It's insulting, and people should be insulted by it, and he should apologize.
So
listen to her. Listen to her. This is what I'm saying. She's gonna insist that the MAGA Republicans are fascists. Because you can tell by listening to her voice. Listen.
So you don't see any elements of that at all in your party?
What do you mean? Won't you give some examples, right? And I already know the examples that they're going to go with, but she's not giving any examples. I want them to give examples of how the MAGA Republican Party is fascist. I want her to give some examples. I'm asking, if you're watching right now, give me an example on how the MAGA Republican Party are fascist. I really want to know, because I've already listed out the reasons why they think it. Maybe I missed one.
Look, you can see elements of fascism and white supremacy all in America. Let's own that as a...
Yeah, let's own that. We still have Democrats in the United States of America. Democrats were the ones that didn't want black people voting. They want black people free. They didn't want women voting. It's the same Democrat Party that was then. It's the same Democrat Party today. The parties never switch. It's the same exact one.
Americans, there's no doubt. And we could say that, all the Democrats are communists. They're all ultra-socialist communists that just want to bring down our free capitalistic market. That's not true of Democrats either. So when we allow ourselves just to talk in these extremes, we polarize the country. We bring people further apart. If I remember, this was the guy, the candidate at the time to be president, that said he was going to bring everybody together, and then to call half of America fascists. Come on.
You know what? He was lying then. He was lying. We all knew he was lying. At least most of us knew. There's some rhino Republicans like Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, McCarthy, Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, Adam Kissinger. We're going to always have people like that. And there's a lot of people out in the world like that. It's just mind-blowing to me. Even Mike Pence, right?
He owes an apology. That's not appropriate. That isn't leadership.
We're out of time, but before I let you go on this subject, the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire recently put out some really outrageous tweets wishing people happy holidays on the anniversary of John McCain's death, saying that $6 million minimum wage, or you're anti-Semitic, a reference to the Holocaust.
And let me bring something to everyone's attention. This is the Libertarian Party. This is not the MAGA Republican Party. Okay? There's a difference. This is the Libertarian Party. And he's going to say it, that Libertarian Party, along with Joe Brandon, needs to apologize for doing stuff like this. But again, it's not the MAGA Republican Party, but she's trying to lump it up. Anything that's hatred, they refuse to look at themselves when they are the ones that's completely hatred.
Your reaction quickly?
Yeah, that should pretty much be the end of the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire. And I mean that. Again, horribly insulting. That is not leadership. That is not what people want to vote for. That is not what the type of sentiment people want in their public service. So, again, there's another one. So the New Hampshire Libertarian Party and the president can both join together and apologize for their insensitive comments.
They should apologize. But, Joe Brandon, he's not going to apologize for calling you a fascist. He's not going to. Just the other day, he was saying, I have no respect for those MAGA Republicans. I have no respect for them. And again, the mega Republicans, they just want their freedoms. My producer just sent me a video, and I'm contemplating about showing it. I don't think I can, because every time I show the video and there's like firearms in the video and I'm live right now, they end up penalizing me. But this is what I'm looking at. It shows a video of a heavily armed Antifa standing outside what they call a kid-friendly Dragon Queen show. So they're there protecting these dragon queens to make sure that the kids, small kids, like I just mentioned, can go in and put dollar bills in these grown men underwear. And Antifa is standing outside to make sure that no one goes in there and disrupt. Again, the fascism. Antifa is not anti-fascist. Antifa is anti-freedom of speech. That's what they are. How in the world do you go defend a pedophile? I don't understand that. There's another one. Because you don't support pedophilia, then you're anti-fascist. This is the way they're thinking. I'm telling you right now. They don't even have to say it. But listen to Jim Jordan here as he talked about Joe Brandon calling half of America fascist.
Very quickly, I want to get this one in, Congressman. NBC's Peter Alexander called out Biden for his semi-fascism comment, claiming it undercuts his pledge to be a unifier. I think he's right. What do you think?
Oh, of course he's right. This is ridiculous. Joe Biden, I was there on Inauguration Day during his speech when he said we need to unify the country. And we all agreed with that, frankly. And then what did he do? 2 hours after that, he went to the Oval Office and signed 21 executive orders that divided the country. And here he goes again. I mean, this is, as Mercedes pointed out, this is like when Peter Strzok said to Lisa Page in that one text message, when he's in the Walmart in Northern Virginia, he said, I can smell the Trump supporters. The disdain they have for conservatives, for Republicans, for President Trump supporters is wrong. And again, the country understands that.
Yes. You know what? And the country's understanding it, and a lot of people are seeing it. I saw an article, I think it was on the Daily Wire, where they were showing, this was Latinos in Florida, overwhelmingly starting to register as Republicans and not Democrats. And it's terrifying the left. They don't understand it. Even here in Texas, there was a county where it had been blue for like the longest time. And then all of a sudden it went red. And they're not understanding it. They're not putting two and two together. For some reason, they keep thinking that you are dumb enough to still go along with all of this stupidity that they're pushing onto us. That's how they're acting. That's how they're pushing all this. And I look at all this stuff and I'm like, is it real? Like I got almost got to pinch myself that they're actually doing this stuff. They're actually calling us, and we're supposed to be all Americans, right? We're supposed to be. And then you have some of them, I need to see if I can find them where the left are actually even saying that we're in a civil war. We're headed more into a civil war. The left is saying that. They're saying this on the liberal media outlets, right? I've been saying that we're headed that way for years now. I don't want it to go that route. If anything, if I could prevent it, I most definitely would, right? I would. But so many people are talking about it. And now they're literally calling all of us fascists. And see, part of that too, they want us to go out and act like them. They want us to act like them. And because we don't give them what they want, then they just come up with name calling. I'm going to call you racist, call you fascist, call you something. They just come up with all kind of crazy nonsense when they're the ones doing all the stupidity. You know what their major issues are? Do you know what the major thing that they're fighting for? Everything that they're fighting for is wokeness. Everything. I mean, think about it. Name something that they constantly saying that they want to fight for. It's all geared towards wokeness. I mean, all of it. There's not anything that they're wanting to do that would actually that would do better for mankind. There's nothing. I mean, zero. Some people say, oh, well, but they do this, they do. No, it's all wokeness. I'm telling you, you can't prove otherwise. And then they want to ignore the truth. They want to ignore the facts. So let me give you an example. You know, the Hunter Biden laptop is still out there, right? The Hunter Biden laptop, and the FBI is saying, well, we don't know where that laptop is. That's some of the reports they've been saying. They probably know exactly where the laptop is, but we don't know where it is. So don't even ask about it anymore. But everyone's asking, why are they hiding this information? Right? And again, just be clear, I never even talked about the Hunter Biden laptop when it first came out because I didn't know anything about it. I never saw anything on it. But now it's all come out that it's 100% true. And multiple people are talking about it. And the people in the past that talked about the Hunter Biden laptop, they were suspending their accounts. They were trying to remove them from society. And the FBI was kicking down doors on people who was talking about the Hunter Biden laptop. And now people in the past that were talking about a Hunter Biden laptop, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, they were speaking the truth.
As the nation's top intelligence official in the fall of 2020, was there any intelligence that Hunter Biden's laptop was part of a Russian information operation?
No.
Simple answer. No. No. Nothing to do with Russia.
Russia.
Nothing to do with Russia. But the FBI lied and said that it was a Russian dump. And if anybody was taking a dump, it was these Democrats taking a dump, and the FBI was like.
I spoke pretty clearly, unequivocally about this at the time, Catherine. I put out a statement in October when the story about Hunter Biden's laptop broke, and there were certain political figures that said that was a part of a Russian disinformation campaign, a smear campaign against Joe Biden. Straight from the Kremlin. And when I heard that, I knew that it was not true. Then I think, the American people have now seen what I knew at the time, which was there was a serious federal investigation into Hunter Biden at that time. We didn't talk about it publicly because we didn't want to prejudice his rights, to due process and ultimately a fair trial if he is to be charged. But it was very clear that the laptop was real. It was not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. And the American people, I think, very clearly know that now.
Just to follow up on that, at that time, more than 50 former senior intelligence officials described it as having the earmarks of a Russian information operation. And you thought, what?
It seemed decidedly political, and I don't know, who orchestrated that or coordinated that. But I do think an investigation into that is appropriate because, Catherine, that's election influence.
That's the FBI intervene to help Joe Brandon in 2020. The FBI did. And then you have people like Mike Pence saying, hey, y'all need to stop talking bad about the FBI. Like, well, Mike Pence, is there something that you want to tell us? I would like to know. And then you have Bill Barr, all of these people that stab President Trump in the back. They're the main ones saying, oh, well, you need to trust the FBI, the seventh floor of the FBI. You need to trust them. The ones that did all this corruption, the one that did the spying on President Trump. The one that want to go out and arrest them parents because they want to protect their children, calling parents domestic terrorists. You need to protect them. Ooh-wee. How stupid can people be? What I don't understand is how the FBI got to this point. Now, I know it had to take, over years, over a period of time for the FBI to get to that point. But at what point did it just really become that sour? And they don't want us to say anything bad about the FBI. You know what? We don't have to. All we have to do is talk about the truth of the FBI. That's bad enough, right? Just say the truth what the FBI is doing, and it's bad enough. You don't have to put bells and whistles on it. It's already bad enough what they're doing. They did this to themselves. But we're the American people, and we're supposed to be dumb, so dumb that we're not going to pay attention to what they're doing, right? I don't think so. The FBI is not a credible organization. They're not. Now, there's some good men and women still in the FBI, and I've said that multiple times. But the FBI, especially the big wigs on the seventh floor, total corrupt. Every last one of them. I don't know if there's at least one on the 7th floor that's not corrupt, then that one should come out and say something. But the silence is deafening. The silence is deafening. Talking about fascism again. Fascism about when it comes to the health of a child in the womb, right? If you want that child to live, you're a fascist. Now, I want you to listen to this one. Because just like Robert Francis O'Rourke, he was asked, when should there be restrictions on taking the life of the innocent child? Right? It should be that, hey, we all should be trying to fight for the sanctity of life. We all had the opportunity. Let's fight for them to have the opportunity as well. Let's give them a fighting chance. But they don't want to do that.
What restrictions, if any, do you believe there should be on abortion?
Well, ultimately, this needs to be a decision between the woman and her doctor. And of course, we don't support abortion at the end of term unless, of course, there is an extraordinary circumstance where.
Let me ask a question, because, they always say that, the fake Mexican Beto, he even said it, and saying that it should be the decision between the doctor and the mother if they want to murder the child, right? And even if after the child is born, they're saying that should be up between the mother and the doctor if they want to murder the child. And if they actually murder the child personally, they should both go to prison for murder. I mean, if we don't have a nation, if we're not a nation of laws and just lawlessness happening, then we don't have a nation.
Where, you're 8 months into a pregnancy and something very tragic is happening in that pregnancy, where you have a room, you've bought toys, you have clothing for the baby, everyone's excited, and then something tragic happens. That needs to be left up to the doctor, not the J.D. Vance or Ted Cruz or anybody else.
Well, but
you hear this? He's talking about something that's really not a large number. What about the other 99% that's using it for birth control? Right? They want to have it like that across the board.
That's a very serious situation.
But as a legislator, you have to have some idea of what you want to do when you're not a doctor. So should there be some restrictions when it comes to the law of the land?
Should there be some restrictions? Again.
Well, I think the decider has to be the woman and her doctor. We can't account for every single scenario.
So that means, it sounds like you're saying no restrictions.
Well, I think no one's supporting abortion towards the end. Absolutely.
That's a lie. That's a lie. The Democrats, they absolutely are pushing it up until the end. They want it to happen. Even after. They've even had some pushes where they were talking about 2 weeks after the birth. Some of them have talked about 2 years, even 4 years after the birth. Like, ooh, yeah, it's been 4 years, and you know what? Or it's going to be 4 years tomorrow. I changed my mind about you. I mean, how do you do it? How do you abort the child at that point? Why is it not? Why would it be considered murder 4 years and 1 day, but it wouldn't be considered murder when the child is in the womb? And one thing they bring up too, they talk about how in the Bible it says life begins at the first breath. How do you think the baby in the womb breathes? Right? I mean, there's still oxygen going into that child. These people are, and you know what? This is when they don't want to follow the science. There's oxygen still going into that child. The mother breathes it in and the oxygen goes through. I mean, come on. That's when, again, like I said, that's when they don't want to acknowledge science. And then they try to take God's word and twist it. Can I change the subject here? Oh, before I do, did y'all hear the fake Mexican Beto, Robert Francis O'Rourke? He had to stop his campaign for a mysterious infection. He had to put his campaign on hold. Hope all is well. But the funny thing is that a whole bunch of, I went out there and I saw it, and everyone's saying, oh, he had to stop his campaign for a mysterious unknown infection. And everyone's going like, is it the monkeypox? I mean, hey, just asking, you know. It's really interesting. You know what? These people, they're so demonic, and, you know, it's just, I thought it was funny. But anyways, let's move on. I want to talk about the affidavit, if I can, because I know it's probably the story's been like just worn out so much. I want to talk about the affidavit just a little bit, if I can here. Well, the affidavit was released, and of course, everything was blacked out in it, right? And there was a couple words in there, and they left a couple words out. The key words that the FBI and the rest of them, the DOJ, want to make sure that goes in people's brains, like obstruction of justice. They want to make sure all that goes out there. The same triggering words that they always use against people who love America, like President Trump. This was all this is about. Same thing, like they're saying he obstructed justice, but he didn't do anything wrong. They're just fishing again. They're fishing in a pond with no water. They're just throwing a hook out there, hoping the fish will get on it when there's no fish or water. But listen to Trey Gowdy as he explains a lot of this, and he goes in good detail on this. Listen.
DOJ released a heavily redacted version of the affidavit used to search former President Trump's home. The document looks more like a Rorschach ink blot test than a legal filing. But there were a couple of new items. The word obstruction was used, which may foreshadow another line of criminal inquiry. There was discussion about where the documents were stored at Mar-a-Lago, which is strange because DOJ's position is Trump wasn't entitled to the documents no matter how many padlocks were on the door. And the department and FBI took a petty sophomoric swipe at Kash Patel. You may recall DOJ didn't want the affidavit released at all, even with redactions, because of potential danger to agents and witnesses. And then DOJ left Kash's name unredacted, thereby endangering a witness. And they wonder why people think there's a
double standard. There is a double standard. And again, I always say it, demons will protect demons. Demons will protect demons. Listen to this one here.
Many Americans still have questions. These questions are not political, they're factual and legal. If you're contemplating indicting a former president, I think we're entitled to more than 38 pages of black lines and some DOJ leaks.
You know what? And that's one thing I was sitting there thinking. What's to stop them, right? What's to stop them to come out and just lie to the American people and say, President Trump had this document, he had this document, and he should have never had these documents. These documents were not declassified. What's to stop them from coming out lying and doing that? What's to stop them? I'm asking the question, right? Because, see, the reason why they're going this route, because they have to have the American people believe that President Trump did something wrong. They have to get everyone to believe it. And it's like one of the biggest lies, another one of the biggest lies that's coming out of the Democrat Party. And the lie is so big that they have to get everyone to believe it, because this is a really big lie. And so many people, so many stupid people out there saying, why would they lie? Why would they do a lie like this so big? We all know he had documents. Of course he had documents. And of course he was cooperating with them 100%. But they seem to grow amnesia when you tell them that part. It was like, what do you mean he was cooperating? He's not cooperating. Really? When was he not cooperating? He told them from day one back in June that, hey, get whatever you need, take whatever you need. And then they left some stuff there because they knew it wasn't about nothing. They knew what was already there. It's just another big lie from the left. And then, like, the lie is so big, and you know, they've done quite a few of those here lately. The lie is so big, it's like it has to be true because it's too big of a lie.
Did the former president personally take these documents from the White House, or did someone else pack the boxes? When did Trump learn what was taken? Did Trump or his legal team knowingly withhold documents after being asked to return them? Was there a good faith disagreement on what had to be legally returned? When and why did negotiations between Trump's lawyers and DOJ break down? What classified documents were found? Why wait months to retrieve these documents if they contain highly sensitive material? Can a president declassify whatever he or she wants? And how does that process work? In essence, what did the former president do? What is his explanation for doing it? And did he persist even after being advised that legal criminal statutes were at issue?
The first time they came and got the boxes, President Trump said, take whatever it is you need. Whatever it is you need. And then, of course, they're still acting like President Trump. He packed the boxes himself. Oh, I'm going to take this document. I'm going to take this document, take this one, and I'm going to walk out the door myself. Where's the pictures at? You know, because they took pictures of everything. There's video cameras, pictures. They should be able to show something where President Trump carrying one of these boxes out with documents in it. Where's the picture at? Where's the proof? Again, they're just lying to the American people, and they're lying so much they got to get you to believe it. But the problem is people aren't buying it. Now you got some stupid people on the left, of course. That's just the way it is. They're going to buy anything that they tell them. They live in a state of fear 24/7. They go to sleep in fear. They wake up in fear because the left has told them to be afraid. And that's the way they live their lives. They live fearful. That's why God is not in these people. They fear what man can do and the lies that man tell them than they do God. They don't even trust in God. And a lot of these people call themselves Christians. And I said, well, just in case we have to do X, Y, Z. See, for me personally, I don't understand that because I completely, wholeheartedly believe in Christ, and I give all glory to God, and my faith in God is just, I have total faith in God, to where I can go out and go into these events and these crazy people, and I have total faith in God that He's going to take care of me, and He has. Have they tried to do stuff to me? Of course. But look, I'm still here by the grace of God. Let me share something else with you before I get out of here. I think I have, well, actually, there's two more I want to share with you. But this first one I want to share with you is talking about children and the safety of children. Again, you remember I told y'all just a minute ago, all of their issues is woke issues, right? Everything is woke issues when it comes to the left. Listen to this teacher with her total wokeness and how she, again, just like the entire left, how they are the racist ones. She's literally going to talk about how black kids don't feel safe in a classroom with white teachers. So my question is how do you think white kids, because when you listen to her, how do you think white kids should feel in her class? Because to my understanding, this demonic woman, and yes, she's a demonic woman, is a teacher.
Okay, white educators, this one is for you. Really, most of these are going to be for y'all. White educators should be a safe space for black students.
Okay, why aren't they? Why aren't they? I've had a lot of white teachers when I grew up. There was no issues, during that time we didn't have all these woke issues either. So I'm like, what should I be? What should I have been scared of? Their color didn't even play a part in it. They say, hey, you do this homework, you do this project, you do this assignment, and you do it and you complete it. My color didn't have anything to do with it. But listen to this.
Let me say that again. White educators should be a safe space for black students. If you're wondering why you're not able to connect with those kids, it's probably because they don't feel safe around you. I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. There are many white people, especially white strangers, that I have my guard up. And it's because I'm trying to protect myself from them. I don't know if this is a safe person. And it's the same with children. So if you decide to gloss over instances of racism or decide that Black Lives Matter is a political thing, you're not a safe person.
How is BLM not a political thing, and how does that make you not a safe person? Let me give you an example. My neighborhood, there's a white couple, and I've told this story before, and it just make me think about it. And they live across the street, and they moved in after me, and they have one day I walked outside, and they have a BLM sign in their yard. Right? And this was right before the 2020 thing took place. Right before. Right after the 2020 thing took place, the sign went away. It was completely political. It's 100% political. The BLM movement, because Lucifer manipulates, is a political movement. It's a demonic political movement. It's a demonic political movement because Lucifer manipulates. That's BLM, because Lucifer manipulates. These people are being manipulated through and through. Let me give you another example of talking about manipulation. If you ever walk up on to someone that's been harmed or hurt, and they can't even speak, or they can barely speak, and they're just like in some pain, and you don't know exactly what happened, or you do know what happened, do you not call the cops, or do you call the cops? See, my first instinct is someone call 911. We need to call 911. Hey, boom. Hey, call 911. Call the cops. This person has been hurt. But they're literally saying, the left, again, this wokeness, they're literally saying that unless the victim tells you to call the cops, don't call the cops. Even if the victim can't even talk, don't call, because the victim didn't tell you to call the cops. Listen to this.
Transphobic attack. Watch this.
So if the victim hasn't asked you to call the police, do not, I repeat, do not call the police.
What? This is a man. That's a man. I'm not going to play along the game. I don't have to. I don't have to. If you want to take your ball and go home, you go home. You got two of them, right? But literally sitting there saying that if the victim doesn't tell you to call the cops, don't call the cops. And the reason why they're saying this because calling the cops, they're saying, could be more trouble. You're bleeding out in the street here. Don't call the cops. You can't talk. You're barely walking, incapacitated, right? I mean, just almost decapitated. But no, I'm not going to call the cops because this is more of a problem. And this man probably brutalizing children, little boys, but the little boy too scared to scream out for help while he's giving them monkeypox. So he don't call so no one calls the cops. People, if you can't put two and two together to realize the day and age that we're living in right now is literally the end times. That's the only way you can explain this. And don't give me that talking about, well, this stuff has always been happening all over. And just because we have social media, everybody sees it. Don't give me that. The technology, the way the world is today has never been in this position. Never. You can't. I mean, there's no history book that shows it. Nowhere has it been this bad. Now, you've had, to go along with what you're saying, there's been some instances. Look at Sodom and Gomorrah. Right? Look at Sodom and Gomorrah. Look what they were doing in the days of Noah. Right? They were doing all this perversion then. But the perversion now is, I think it's so much more compared to what was taking place then. And God destroyed the earth and Sodom and Gomorrah because of it. These people are demonic through and through. How do you not call the cops when someone's bleeding out in the middle of the street? How do you not do that? And have the nerve, the audacity to sit there and say that it will bring more problems by calling the cops. Someone please help me understand. Obviously, I'm missing that point. I don't understand it. Oh, I know what it is. I'm a fascist because I don't want them sexualizing children. I'm a fascist because I'm a Christian. If you don't think that they're not going to end up coming for you as a Christian, see, all this stuff that we're seeing is a prelude. They're just gearing up for it. They're just getting ready. Hear me now, believe me later on. And I've said it multiple times. I don't want to be right, but dadgummit, I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing. You see it too. Some of y'all, and you know who you are, some of y'all ignore it. Some of y'all don't like the fact that I'm even talking about this. Some of y'all want to go like, well, just don't even talk about it. Like it's going to go away. All this wokeness that we have here is because people didn't say something in the past. When you knew that they were targeting your children in the schools like this, and you were thinking, well, my child is not going to be one of the victims. Or they were like, well, my child is going to be okay because I trust the system, and their child end up getting in that position, and they go, well, my child just had to work it through. That's disgusting. It's 100% disgusting. We're living in the last days. I mean, all this stuff I show you, I'll show it to you so you are aware, so you can start getting ready. There was a video with Tucker where he's talking about how in Europe, how they're having such a bad energy crisis right now that people can't even find firewood to heat their homes. It's becoming an epidemic. It's becoming a major problem. Same thing. It's becoming an issue. People in Europe are going out and cutting down wood themselves because they can't find the wood. They can't buy wood. There's lines of people lined up right now trying to get coal so they can heat up their homes. And the European leaders, they purposely did this to the people there. They did it on purpose. And it's the exact same thing that they're wanting to do here in the United States of America. Because you know, that's another way on helping out the population. It's called population control. If you don't think that the world is headed for what the Bible is talking about, then you have not been paying attention. All right, let me say thank you to a couple people before I bounce out of here. Thank you so much, everybody, for all the blessings. Hey, do me a favor. If you haven't already, please bless me by hitting the share button. Can you do that? Please. And for the other platforms, please copy the link and text it to other locations and share it. Please. Please. Lori, thank you so much for the cash app. Thank you so much for that blessing. Kevin, thank you so much for the super chat. Laurel, thank you for the stars. Sherry, thank you for the stars. Joy, thank you for the stars. Michelle, thank you. And Michael, thank you. Lois, thank you. And then Denise, Danielle, George, thank you for the stars. All right. Okay. Chuck, thank you for the stars. I really do appreciate it. Chuck, you've been there for a while, sir. Thank you so much. Robin, thank you for the stars. I think there was one right before Robin. I missed it. Mary, thank you for the stars. And then Nancy, thank you so much for the stars. Cindy, thank you. Cheryl, thank you. Kara, thank you. And I think that's it. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being with me. Hey, do me a favor. Please connect with me on my podcast. Connect with me on my podcast. I'm live on my podcast right now. If you go to my website, or you can go to my website, Connect with Will, and go to the Podbean. Go to the Podbean connection. Subscribe to my podcast. Please subscribe to my podcast. All right. God bless everybody. Stay safe. Be strong. Get prayed up because they're coming. Reality check.
Thank you.